I used to think the craziest thing an ex could do was send a long paragraph after a breakup. Then there was Jenna. And the baby. We met in a pottery class my coworker dragged me to. I went because I was bored and single and figured, worst case scenario, I'd make an ugly bowl and go home. Jenna sat at the wheel next to me, already covered in clay like she'd been born in that studio. She looked over, saw my lopsided attempt at a mug, and said, "Wow, that's ambitious." I laughed. "You could just say it's terrible." She grinned. "No, I like ambitious. Means you're either brave or clueless. I'm willing to find out which." From there it felt easy. She was funny in that fast, sarcastic way. She asked about my job, my family, my stupid stories. When I talked, she made eye contact, nodded, really listened. After a couple weeks, we were grabbing coffee after class. Then dinner. Then she just never really left. At first, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. She'd text me good luck before meetings, bring me lunch at work just because, hype me up about every little thing. It felt good to have someone on my team. The red flags showed up like those faint warning lights on a dashboard. You notice them, but you tell yourself you'll deal with it later. She loved to talk. Nothing wrong with that. But I started noticing that no matter what subject we started with, it eventually circled back to her. Her exes. Her problems. Her trauma. If I mentioned a rough day, she'd say, "You think that's bad?" and launch into a monologue. I'd sit there, nodding, convincing myself I was just being selfish for wanting a turn. She didn't like my friends, either. At first it was subtle. Little digs. "Does Ryan always have to be that loud? Your friend group is interesting. That girl in the blue dress, she's totally into you. You don't see that." Anytime I wanted to hang out with them without her, it turned into a guilt trip. "Why can't I come? Why do you need time without me? You know what, just forget it. I don't even know why I care so much." The phone stuff was next. She'd snatch it out of my hand mid-scroll. "Relax, I'm just checking something." She knew my passcode in case of emergency, but suddenly she was answering my texts, reading my notifications, asking, "Who's this?" every time a new name popped up. One day, she showed up at my office with donuts. No warning, just there. "How did you know where I work?" I asked. "You told me," she said. I hadn't. She'd Googled me, found my LinkedIn, found my company. At the time, it felt intense but flattering. Looking back, that should have been the moment I ran. The visit to my parents' house was where everything really cracked. She insisted on going. "If we're serious, I should meet them," she said. She spent the entire car ride planning out what to wear, what to say, asking me what they liked, what they didn't. By the time we pulled into the driveway, she'd turned it into an audition. Inside, she turned it up to 11. Overly polite, overly helpful, complimenting every decoration, laughing at every story, insisting on doing the dishes even though my mom told her not to. It wasn't that she was being nice. It was that it felt performed. After they went to bed, my mom pulled me aside in the hallway. "She's a lot," she said gently. "Just make sure you're okay, all right?" On the drive back, Jenna was quiet for maybe 5 minutes. Then, "So, your mom hates me." I stared at the road. "She doesn't hate you. She just doesn't know you yet. You didn't defend me," she snapped. "You just stood there. You didn't say how good I am for you, how much I support you. You let her judge me." The argument that followed was one of those spirals where you don't even know how you got there. By the time we pulled into my place, she was crying, saying I didn't love her like she loved me, that I was embarrassed by her. After that, every conversation seemed to come back to commitment. "Where is this going? Do you see us getting married?" I'm not wasting my time on some casual thing. I tried to be honest. I told her I liked her, but marriage talk after a few months felt too fast. I needed time. I thought that was reasonable. She disappeared for 2 days after that. No texts. No calls. I actually started to worry something had happened. Then she showed up at my apartment, eyes red, hands shaking. "We need to talk," she said. My stomach dropped. That sentence never ends well. She sat on my couch, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "I'm pregnant." It was like the room shrunk. My brain started doing math without my permission. Dates. Times. Possibilities. I stammered something about doctors, tests, what she wanted to do. She said it was a sign, that this was the universe forcing me to step up, to commit, that we were meant to be. For about 24 hours, I tried to convince myself I could make it work. I pictured myself proposing because I felt obligated, resenting her, resenting the kid, realizing I was about to build a life on fear. And then something in me just snapped into focus. I couldn't do it. Not like this. Not with her. I asked her gently at first to show me a test. A doctor's note. Something. She dodged the question, accused me of calling her a liar. The more I pressed, the angrier she got. You don't trust me, she said. After everything I've done for you. That's when it clicked. The timelines that didn't add up. The dramatic timing. The way she said sign like a weapon. My panic turned into something else, clarity. I can't do this, I told her. If you are pregnant, I'll support the child. But I'm not staying in this relationship. She lost it. Tears, screaming, threats. You're abandoning me. You're abandoning your family. I'm going to tell everyone what kind of man you really are. I still ended it. It was messy and loud and ugly, but I did it. What followed was weeks of hell. Hundreds of calls. Back-to-back texts that swung from, I love you, please don't do this, to I hope you die. She posted vague, bitter things about me on social media. Then not-so-vague ones. She messaged my friends, my coworkers, my family, acting like the wounded victim, and I was the heartless guy who left his pregnant girlfriend. I changed my number. She found my work email. She made fake accounts. Sent anonymous messages like, you think you can just walk away? There were nights she came to my apartment building and pounded on my door, yelling my name. I sat on the floor on the other side, heart racing, holding my breath. I got a restraining order. She treated it like a suggestion. The thing that finally pushed me over the edge was when she emailed my boss from a burner account, accusing me of harassment, saying I had abandoned a pregnant partner. I had to sit in HR and explain my personal life like it was a performance review. Eventually, I realized I couldn't keep playing defense. I asked a friend to come with me and meet her. Public place. Daytime. Cameras everywhere. No privacy. We met at a cafe. She walked in looking composed. No tears. No trembling. She sat down, smiled like nothing had happened, and said, So, are you ready to be mature about this? I asked her one more time in front of my friend, in front of a room full of strangers. Are you pregnant, Jenna? She looked at me, then at my friend, then leaned back in her chair. There is no baby, she said. Just like that. No shame. No hesitation. I always thought I was pretty good with risk. I'm an accountant, for God's sake. My idea of living dangerously used to be rounding something up instead of down on a spreadsheet. I color-code my sock drawer. That's the level we're talking about. So of course I ended up with Lisa. I met her at a friend's exhibition in a tiny gallery off Dame Street. The kind of place where everyone dresses in black and pretends to understand what a pile of bricks means. I was the only Egypt there in a gray jumper and sensible shoes, nursing a warm can of lager. She appeared beside me like she'd materialized out of cigarette smoke. Paint on her jeans, hair thrown up like an afterthought, eyeliner slightly smudged. You look like you did your taxes before you came here, she said, smiling. That's because I did, I replied. Somebody has to pay for all this. She laughed, properly laughed, head back, hand on my arm. I like you. You're tidy. That should have been my first warning sign. We fell into it quickly. Dates turned into sleepovers, turned into toothbrush in my bathroom, before I'd finished processing the first kiss. She was intoxicating. She'd drag me out of bed at midnight to walk along the Liffey, because the lights look lonely. She'd sketch me while I was doing my budgeting, calling it capitalism in crisis. I'd never felt more interesting in my life. The first time she snapped about my phone, I wrote it off as a bad day. We were in a pub off Camden Street. She was mid-monologue about how love is two souls folding into one body, and my phone buzzed. I glanced at it for literally half a second. Her face shifted. The air changed. Am I boring you? She asked, voice flat. It's just work, I said. I'm listening. She stared at me like I'd just kicked a puppy. You're with me, but you're somewhere else. I don't share. I apologized. Put the phone away. Promised I'd be more present. It felt easier than arguing, and honestly, I was still in that stupid stage where any attention felt like affection. The jealousy trickled in behind it. She'd pick up my phone if I left it on the table, scroll through messages, make little comments. Oh, Huzifa, why is she sending you laughing emojis? You liked this girl's photo in 2017. Were you in love with her? She'd sit on my couch and go through my Instagram like an archaeologist, excavating crimes out of harmless photos. Why didn't you archive this one of your ex? Do you still want her? It was like being cross-examined for the sins of every woman I'd ever known. I started editing myself. I answered texts faster. I stopped following people she didn't like the look of. I checked my phone in the bathroom instead of in front of her. Every time I tried to bring it up, she'd go teary-eyed and say, "I just love you more than you love me." That's the problem. We very quickly. We don't do that. We don't like those people. We don't go out without each other. If I mentioned needing time alone, she'd tilt her head and ask, "Alone with who exactly?" By the time our 1-year anniversary rolled around, I was worn thin. She suggested a trip to the mountains, some we Airbnb up in Wicklow, mist and trees and all that. I thought maybe it would help. Fresh air, no signals, fewer arguments. It was a disaster. From the moment we got in the car, she was wound tight. If I looked at the sat-nav instead of her, she sulked. If I took too long choosing a playlist, she accused me of curating the vibe away from her. The cabin was beautiful, wood stove, tiny kitchen, view of fog-soaked hills. It might as well have been a cage. We fought about everything. How much time I spent reading instead of staring deeply into her eyes. How I escaped into numbers when things got hard. How I didn't bleed my love enough. I didn't even know what that meant. On the second day, I told her I needed a walk. Just an hour up a trail nearby to clear my head. "Of course," she said, smiling too brightly. "Run away. It's what you're good at." I went anyway. It was drizzling, because Ireland, and the path was muddy, but for 45 minutes I could hear my own thoughts. Just me, my wet shoes, and the quiet. When I got back, the cabin door was open. Her coat was gone. On the table was a note, written in quick, jagged handwriting. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have left me alone." I felt my heart drop into my shoes. I checked the bedroom, the bathroom, outside. Nothing. I called her. No answer. I rang again and again, walking the road like a lunatic, scanning the trees. By the time I found her, she was sitting on a rock by a lake, arms wrapped around herself, eyes fixed on the water. "You left me," she said, without looking up. "I could have drowned and you wouldn't know." Something snapped in me then. Not loud. Just clean. "I went for a walk," I said, voice shaking. "You vanished. You left a guilt trip on the table and vanished. I can't do this anymore, Lisa." She turned, eyes full of wet fury. "So that's it? You're breaking up with me in a poem?" "Yes," I said. "That's it." The drive back to Dublin was silent. She stared out the window, tears sliding down her face, and I gripped the wheel like it was the only solid thing left. After that, things should have been simple. Break up. Divide the few shared belongings. Block, unfollow, move on. She didn't get that memo. First came the calls. Long, rambling voicemails about how we were cosmically bound, and I was denying the story. Then the texts, paragraphs at 3 a.m., photos of old love notes. "Remember this?" Captions. I blocked her. She made new numbers, new accounts, new email addresses. It was like fighting mold. Then the coincidences started. She was always just there. I'd queue for coffee and catch her reflection in the metal counter behind me. Turn around and she'd be 3 people back, pretending to read a menu. I'd see her on the top deck of a bus as mine pulled into the stop, staring straight out the window at me. In the pub, I'd look up and she'd be in the mirror behind the bar, alone at a table watching. I started taking the long way home. Changed supermarkets. Changed pubs. It didn't matter. Dublin's not that big when someone is determined to occupy all of it. One night, I was driving back from my sister's place in the suburbs. It was late, mist hanging low over the roads, headlights making tunnels in the fog. I noticed a car behind me, a little too close. I changed lanes. It changed lanes. I turned off earlier than usual. It turned too. The rational part of my brain said, "You're being paranoid." The part that had seen her in every reflective surface for weeks said, "Speed up." I did. So did the car. The motorway turned into narrower roads, hedges creeping closer, light thinning. I could see the number plate, when it got close enough, illuminated in my rearview mirror. It was hers. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my teeth. I pulled into a lay-by, hands slick on the steering wheel. The other car shot past, then slammed on the brakes and reversed, gravel crunching. She rolled down the window. Even in the dim, I could see her eyes, wide, wild, too bright. "I just want to talk," she shouted over the engine in the rain. "Why are you making this dramatic?" Every nerve in my body screamed. I hit the accelerator, swerved back onto the road, nearly clipped the hedge. My car fishtailed for a second before it gripped. In the rearview, her headlights flared, then shrank as I pulled away. If you'd told me my favorite soft toy would end up being the creepiest thing I've ever seen, I wouldn't have believed you. Then there was Samron, and the teddy bear. We met in college. Like most stupid decisions in my life, it started at a house party. I was the shy guy in the kitchen pretending to be deeply invested in the chips and salsa, and she was the loud one in the living room standing on a chair, leading a drinking game like it was a TED Talk. She noticed me hovering and shouted, "You, hoodie guy, get over here. You look like you need chaos." I went. Of course I went. At first, she was the fun kind of chaos. Late night drives. Skipping lectures to go hiking. Showing up at my dorm window with coffee at 2 a.m. She made me feel like life was finally happening to me instead of around me. When she called me my favorite person and dragged me into some half-baked adventure, it felt good. Then the favorite person thing turned into only person. She needed to know where I was, all the time. If I didn't respond to a text within 10 minutes, I'd get 3 more. "Where are you? You okay? Why are you ignoring me?" If I said I was studying with friends, she'd just happen to show up. She'd grab my phone jokingly, then scroll through my messages, through my social media, always pausing longer on any female name. "Who's this? How long have you known her? Did you ever like her? Like her?" Every time I tried to push back, she'd cry. Every boundary turned into, "So you don't love me, that's what you're saying?" I stayed way too long. 2 years of highs and lows and way too many arguments that ended with me apologizing just to shut the whole thing down. The breakup wasn't one clean moment. It was a series of failed attempts. I'd say, "I can't do this." She'd explode or sob or threaten to hurt herself, and I'd fold. Finally, after one screaming match in the middle of campus where she accused me of cheating on her with a girl I'd literally just helped carry a box, I snapped. "I'm done," I said. "For real this time." I blocked her. On everything. Changed my number. Changed my email. Moved off campus into a small apartment with a sticky front door and thin walls. For about a week, there was silence. Then the calls started again. New numbers. No caller ID. Voicemails that swung from sobbing apologies to rage-filled monologues. "You can't just forget me. We're soulmates. I know you hear this. Stop pretending you don't." I changed my number. Again. She found the new one. I still don't know how. Maybe a mutual friend slipped. Maybe she guessed. Maybe she just refused to let go until the universe gave her what she wanted. I started seeing her car near my building. Parked down the street. Turning the corner just as I came home. Not every day. Just enough to make me feel watched. That's when I bought the security cameras. It felt paranoid, like something only people in true crime documentaries do. But I did it anyway. One in the hallway facing my door. One facing the parking lot. A few nights later, I got an alert on my phone. Motion detected. I opened the live feed and there she was on the hallway camera, hood up, hair spilling out, crouched by my door. Trying the handle first, then pulling something from her pocket. A tool. She started working on the lock like she'd done it before. I called the police, voice shaking. By the time they arrived, she was gone. I showed them the footage. They took it seriously, but there's a difference between "we're concerned" and "we can arrest her." "You should get a restraining order," they said. "This will help support it." So I did. I went to court, filled out forms, stood in front of a judge, and said out loud that I was afraid of someone I had once told I loved. The paper didn't stop her. It just changed the format. The gifts started arriving next. A favorite book I'd once mentioned offhand, left at my door with no note. A mug printed with a stupid inside joke we'd made in first year. A framed photo of us from some happy day I barely remembered now, slipped under my doormat. Then the teddy bear. Back when things were good, I'd given her this soft bear for her birthday. Nothing special. Just a simple, brown, slightly dopey-looking stuffed toy. She loved it. Called it our backup baby, for when we were old and lonely. I thought it was cringe, but harmless. Now, there was a bear on my doorstep that looked almost identical. Same color, same shape. Someone had sewn the eyes shut with black thread, right through the plastic. The stitches were rough and tight, puckering the fabric around them. Around its neck was a ribbon with my name written on it. I stared at it for a long time, stomach twisting. Then I put it in a plastic bag, tied the top, and shoved it in the back of my closet like it might contaminate the rest of my room. After that, I started seeing a hooded figure more often. Across the street. Down the block. On the other side of the parking lot. Always just far enough away that I couldn't be 100% sure it was her, but close enough that I knew. I'd finally broken up with Anne. The relationship had been a slow-motion car crash, jealousy, screaming matches, her showing up at my job, going through my phone, all the usual red flags I pretended were passion. The breakup was ugly. She cried, threatened, said she couldn't live without me. I still walked away. New number, new apartment, new routines. I did everything you're meant to do when you're trying to start over. For a while it worked. The silence felt strange but good, like I could finally hear my own thoughts. Then the message came. Don't you miss me? We belong together. No name. New number again. But I knew it was her. My whole body recognized the rhythm of her words before my brain did. I blocked it. Told myself that was that. The next day, there was a knock at my door. I checked the peephole. She was standing there, looking almost normal. Jeans, a jacket, hair tied back. In one hand, she held a cheap bouquet of wilting flowers. In the other, a photograph. I didn't open the door. I just watched. She smiled at the door like she could see through it. I just want to talk, she said. You can't hide from me forever. After what felt like hours, she set the flowers down on the doormat and slid the photo under the door. I waited until her footsteps faded before I picked it up. It was me, in my living room, sitting on the couch, watching TV, taken through my window. My stomach dropped. I called the police. 2 officers came, took the photo, took my statement. They were sympathetic, but there's only so much they can do with. He took a picture of me from outside, and she knocked on my door and said creepy things. There's no direct threat yet, one of them said. We'll file a report. If she escalates, call us immediately. I didn't sleep much that night. I checked the locks 3 times, closed all the curtains, jumped at every noise. The escalation came the next morning. I walked outside and stopped dead. My car looked like it had been dragged out of a war zone. All 4 tires slashed. Windows smashed in. Glass everywhere. Spray painted across the hood in thick, dripping red. If I can't have you, no one can. My neighbor came out, stared, muttered, Jesus, mate. I called the police again, hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped my phone. This time they took it very seriously. Photos, statements, more questions. They posted a patrol car on the street for the day. I stayed at the station for hours, filling out forms. When they finally let me go, one of the officers said, "You should stay somewhere else for a bit, just until we figure out our next steps." My friend Mark offered his spare room. "You're not staying there alone with that going on," he said. "Come here. We'll order pizza and pretend life is normal." That night, we were on his couch, a movie playing, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. No name. Image attachment. It was a photo of Mark's living room. The same couch we were sitting on. Taken from outside the window. In the corner of the picture, you could see the back of my head. Below it, a message. "You can't hide from me." I felt the blood drain from my face. Mark saw it immediately. "What is it?" he asked. I handed him the phone. He went pale too. We called the police. Again. This time their idea was different. "We want to wire you," the detective said over the phone the next morning. "If she calls again, if she makes contact, we need something solid. A threat, an admission. Something we can use to move now, not later." I agreed. I was tired of feeling like a mouse waiting for a cat to get bored. They put a recording device on me, explained what to do, what not to say, how to keep her talking. It all felt weirdly surreal, like I'd stepped into some low-budget crime show. It didn't take long. That afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered, my pulse roaring in my ears. "Hello." Silence. Then her voice, soft and too calm. "I know you're wearing a wire," she said. "I know everything." Every hair on my body stood up. "I'm watching you right now," she continued. "You really think they can protect you?" I looked around Mark's living room like an idiot, as if she'd be sitting in the corner waving. Nothing. Just a TV, half-eaten pizza, curtains pulled halfway closed. I hung up. Panic overrode whatever script the detectives had given me. I bolted. "I can't stay here," I told Mark. "She's outside, she has to be." He tried to calm me down, but I was already grabbing my jacket, my keys. I stepped out onto the street, heart hammering, looking up and down like I'd be able to spot danger from a distance. I heard the car before I saw it. Tires screeching, engine revving too loud. I turned. The car stopped short in front of me. The driver's door opened, and stepped out. She was smiling, calm, like she'd just arrived for a date. In her hand, down by her side, was a gun. For a second, my brain refused to register it. Guns happened on screens, not in front of your friend's apartment in broad daylight. Then she raised it. "It's over," she said. There was a sound, loud, flat, like a door slamming shut inside my skull. Then nothing. We met at work in Sydney, at one of those tech startups where everyone wears sneakers and uses words like disruption and pipeline way too much. She worked in operations, I was on the dev team. First time I noticed her, she was standing at the whiteboard ripping some poor contractor's schedule apart and rebuilding it in 5 minutes flat. She was sharp, organized, scary in a good way. We started chatting over coffee. She'd swing by my desk to check on timelines and stay to talk about everything else. Weekends turned into drinks, then dinners, then might as well stay over, it's late. Before long, we were the office couple. People teased us about being that pair who sat together in stand-up and left together at the end of the day. In the beginning, she was great. She'd bring me lunch when I got slammed with tickets. Send meme-filled Slack messages during long meetings. Hype me up before demos. You've got this, babe. You're the smartest one in the room. The controls slid in so quietly I barely noticed. At first, it was just replies. She'd message, and if I didn't respond within a few minutes, I'd get a follow-up. Hello. Too busy to say hi. All good. I guess you're just ignoring me, woman shrugging. I brushed it off as her being playful. Then she started keeping score. You replied to Ryan faster than you replied to me. You liked Emma's photo but didn't comment on mine. You didn't text me good night. Do you know how that makes me feel? If I said I'd be out with friends, she'd suddenly be in the area and pop in. She brought surprise lunches to the office, which my teammates thought was adorable. I slowly realized they weren't surprises. They were inspections. Social media became a minefield. She knew every person I followed, remembered every username. Who is this? She comments on your posts a lot. Why did you like this picture? Her top is barely there. I'd scroll with this constant sense of being watched, even when she wasn't physically there. The weekend trip with my mates was the breaking point. We'd booked a 3-day surf trip up the coast months before. I told Polly about it early, thought we were on the same page. The week before, she started ramping up. So you're really going without me? 3 days with no contact, is that what you want? Must be nice to take a holiday from your girlfriend. I promised I'd call, send photos, all of it. She nodded, said she understood, but her mouth stayed tight. We left Friday. By the time we'd hit the highway, my phone was buzzing. Where are you now? Send a pic. Who's in the car? At first I answered. Then the messages turned into accusations. Why didn't you reply straight away? Who's that girl in the background? Be honest, you just wanted to be single for the weekend, right? Saturday night, after my 10th, I'm literally just playing cards with the boys' text. I stared at my screen and felt something inside me snap. I didn't go on this trip to be interrogated. When I got back to Sydney on Sunday, I was exhausted. She was waiting outside my building, eyes already red. The fight that followed was intense. She accused me of cheating, lying, emotionally abandoning her. I heard myself say, for the first time, I can't do this anymore. As soon as I said it, I knew it was true. She cried, screamed, switched between begging and threatening. I stuck with it, broke up with her, blocked her on everything that night, and went to sleep thinking, stupidly, that the worst was over. It wasn't. For a week, there was silence. Then the anonymous messages started. First on email. I know what you did. You think people don't see you. I'm watching. Then on random numbers. Then on Instagram from empty accounts with no profile photo, just DM requests saying, we should talk about how you treat women. I tried to ignore it. Then a mate messaged me. Oi, why are you on Tinder talking about choking and owning women? I don't even have Tinder. He sent screenshots. There I was. My photos. My full name. Bio full of explicit crap I would never write. The profile had messaged multiple people we both knew. More started trickling in. A friend from uni sent me a Bumble screenshot. Another mate sent a Grindr profile. Same photos, different flavors. All gross. At work, people got weird. One of the designers avoided eye contact. The HR manager pulled me in, just for a chat. We've received some anonymous emails, she said carefully. Claims about inappropriate behavior, harassment, substance abuse. I'm obligated to bring it to your attention. She showed me one. The sender's address was something like concern for women at company name, hr.com. It looked official at first glance. The writing was clinical, bullet points listing out incidents that never happened. I could practically hear Polly's voice in the structure. She knew how we communicated internally. She knew the tone, the formatting. It was meticulous. I explained everything. HR said they understood, but I could tell a seed had been planted. My reputation in the company, in a tiny, gossipy dev scene, took a hit. Meanwhile, the physical stuff started creeping in. Her car parked across from my building. Her sitting alone at a cafe down the road, laptop open, eyes on me as I walked past. I'd look back a second later, and she'd be gone, cup still half full on the table. Then I came home one evening and knew, before I turned the lights on, that someone had been inside. Nothing was missing, but everything was off. My shoes swapped left to right. A mug moved from the sink to the counter. My office chair turned toward the door instead of the desk. On the bathroom mirror, in lipstick, "I told you I was watching you." That's when I realized this wasn't drama. It was a campaign. Me and my brilliant ideas. That's what I think now when I look back at that period of my life. Fresh out of a breakup that left me feeling like someone had scooped my insides out with a spoon, and I decided the best way to heal was a rebound. In my defense, it didn't start scary. It started at a gaming cafe in Akihabara on a rainy Sunday, which honestly feels like the most predictable thing in the world now. My ex used to drag me there to watch tournaments. That day, I went alone for the first time. I told myself I just wanted to sit there, drink cheap coffee, and prove I didn't need him to enjoy anything. That's when I met Mark. He was a foreigner, American I think, kind of tall, a little awkward, but funny. He knew my ex from the local gaming club, said they'd played the same fighting game for years. When he realized we'd broken up, he pulled a mock sympathetic face. "His loss," he said. "You seem way too cool for him anyway." It was the sort of line that should have made my eyes roll, but I was tired. Tired of crying on the last train home, tired of pretending I was fine at my office job in Shinjuku. So when someone looked at me like I was interesting again, I leaned into it. We started talking more. He messaged me memes, sent voice notes with terrible attempts at Japanese, called me senpai in a joking tone. I laughed more in that first week than I had in months. When he invited me to his apartment, I went. It was intense. Not dirty, just cluttered. Shelves and shelves of anime figures still in their boxes. Posters on every wall. Consoles on the floor. Mountains of manga and strategy guides. It looked less like a home and more like a shrine to every teenage hobby he never grew out of. "It's a bit much, right?" he said, scratching the back of his neck. "No, it's interesting." I lied because that's what I do. I smooth things over. I make people comfortable, even when I'm the uncomfortable one. At first, it felt nice. He was attentive, always asking how my day went, always ready to listen to my complaints about overtime or my boss. We'd meet after work, grab convenience store snacks, play games until the last train. He'd look at me like I was the only thing in the room that wasn't pixels. Then the call started. Not in a normal dating way. In a constant way. Morning. "Did you sleep okay?" Lunch. "Who are you eating with?" Evening. "What time exactly are you leaving the office?" If I missed one, he'd follow up. "Everything okay? Did I do something wrong? It's fine if you're busy, but can you just tell me?" It felt less like affection and more like surveillance, but I kept telling myself not to be dramatic. Tokyo makes you used to being crowded, watched, jostled. You learn to shrink yourself, apologize for taking up space. So I apologized, for late replies, for falling asleep without texting goodnight, for wanting one evening alone. The first time I tried to set a boundary, he cried. I feel like everyone leaves me," he said, wiping his face. "I finally meet someone who gets me, and you're already pulling away." I heard myself saying, No, I'm not pulling away, I'm sorry," before I even decided to. It was instinct. I bowed in my own living room, like I had done something unforgivable by asking for one quiet night with my phone on silent. After that, it escalated. He started showing up. At my office building, waiting near the entrance when I finished late. At my usual lunch spot, by coincidence. On my train platform, standing just far enough away that it could be an accident, but never making it feel like one. One Saturday, I told him I had plans with friends and couldn't meet. I switched my phone to airplane mode just to breathe. When I left my tiny apartment, there he was, parked across the street in a car I'd never seen before, just sitting there, hands on the wheel, staring up at my building. I ducked back inside, heart pounding. For a long time I just stood behind the curtain, peeking through. He didn't move, didn't call, just waited. That was the moment something shifted. It stopped feeling like attention and started feeling like a cage. I stayed with a friend that night, lying about why. "Oh, I just didn't feel like going home yet," I said with a smile that felt like it might crack. The next day, I went to the police. They were polite. I explained everything, voice trembling, hands twisting in my lap. The officer listened, nodded, wrote some things down. "So," he said, "he hasn't threatened you? No violence?" I shook my head. "Not yet. But he waits outside my home. He appears at my work. He calls all the time. We can make a note," he said. "If he does anything more direct, please come back. For now, maybe you should be careful. Don't walk alone at night." I wanted to scream. Instead, I bowed. "Thank you for your help," I said. "Because that's what you do." I got a new phone number. Blocked him on everything. Asked the building manager if they could please not confirm my apartment number to anyone. For a while it was quiet. Quiet enough that I started to wonder if I'd imagined how bad it was. Then the package arrived. Plain brown envelope. No sender. My new address, written in unfamiliar handwriting. My stomach knotted. I almost threw it away unopened, but curiosity, or maybe fear, won. Inside was a single photograph. It was me, taken through my apartment window. I was sitting on the floor with my laptop, hair up, wearing an old t-shirt, completely unaware. On the back, in block letters, "I see you." There was no way he should have known where I lived. I'd moved, changed trains, changed routines. I'd built my new life like a witness protection program I designed myself. I moved again. New ward, new job, new haircut, new name on my resume, slightly altered just enough. I stopped posting photos online. I stopped tagging locations. I broke myself down into something small and uninteresting. Years passed. It became a story I almost never told. Too dramatic, too embarrassing, too scary. My rebound turned into a stalker. Sounds like a joke until you're the one changing your route home every week. Then last month, I was locking my door when I saw it. A car idling at the end of my quiet residential street. Same model. Same dent over the back wheel. Same faded sticker in the window. It rolled past slowly, the driver's face shadowed behind the windshield. 2 days later, I saw it again, turning the corner as I walked to the station. It didn't stop. Didn't honk. Just passed by, slow enough for me to notice. Maybe it wasn't him. Tokyo is full of cars. People recycle models, plates, stickers. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe. I hung up shaking. Then my phone buzzed again. Not a notification this time. A WhatsApp from Lana. "Hope it was worth it, breaking my heart for your little boy's night. Enjoy sorting out your life now. XX. No outright confession. Just enough for my blood to run cold." Over the next couple of days, it got worse. More transactions popped up, some just before the card was blocked. The bank later told me some merchants only processed them with a delay. I kept getting calls from unknown numbers. I didn't answer. I was scared of hearing her voice. Scared I'd say something that would somehow make this my fault. The police at first were polite but detached. They took my statement at the station, logged the case, gave me a reference number. "Any idea who might have taken the cards?" the officer asked, pen hovering. "My ex," I said. "We broke up that night. She was the last one here." He nodded, not looking surprised. "You got proof?" I didn't. Not yet. Proof came a few days later in the form of a call from the bank's fraud department. "Mr. Name, we've obtained CCTV from one of the stores. Someone used your card in person with your ID. Would you be able to come in and view the footage?" I went in on my lunch break, sitting in a freezing little office while a woman with a neat bun clicked through files on her computer. "There," she said finally. "That's the card terminal. Watch here." On the screen, grainy but clear enough, Lana walked into frame. My card in her hand, my ID in the other. She smiled at the cashier, laughed at something, pointed at a TV on the wall. She looked happy, relaxed, like she was just shopping on a lazy day, not looting everything I'd worked for. At the bottom of the receipt they showed me later, she'd drawn a little heart next to my name. Seeing that hit harder than the actual money. Cops took it seriously after that. The footage, the ID use, my statement, it was enough. They opened a case of fraud and theft. She was picked up a week later, trying to use another card at a different store. Apparently, she didn't even fight it. Didn't cry. Didn't act confused. Just went along, bored, like this was routine. I found out later through the investigating officer that I wasn't her first. Or second. She had a pattern. Date guys with steady jobs. Spend a few months in love. Learn their habits. Learn where they keep their wallets. Memorize pins when they punch them in at restaurants. Then, when it ended, or when she decided it was time, she'd strike. One last goodbye gift to herself. The bank managed to reverse most of the charges eventually, but not all. My credit took a hit. I'd been saving for a deposit on a better place, trying to get out of my cramped flat and closer to the office. That got delayed. Loan offers I'd been pre-approved for suddenly disappeared. My score dropped. I had to explain over and over. There was fraud. It's under investigation. Some people believed me. Some looked at me like I was just another guy who couldn't manage his money. Lana went to court. I didn't go to every hearing, but I did attend the main one where she was sentenced. She stood there in a blazer that wasn't hers, hair done, nails perfect, looking bored out of her mind while they read out all the counts. Mine and the ones before me. The judge talked about a clear pattern of deliberate, calculated behavior. About lack of remorse. About impact on victims' lives. She just stared ahead, jaw clenched, like she was annoyed this was taking so long. She got jail time. Real time. Not just a slap on the wrist. I walked out of that courtroom feeling weirdly empty. You'd think I'd feel vindicated. Instead, it just made everything more real. I'd let someone into my life who looked at my entire existence, my ID, my salary, my future, as a cupboard to raid. I haven't heard from her since. No calls. No messages. No apologies. I doubt I ever will. I still flinch when my phone buzzes with a bank alert. I check my wallet 3 times before leaving the flat. I cover the keypad with my hand at ATMs like some paranoid old man. When I date now, I take it slow. I don't leave my wallet on the table. I don't hand my card over lightly. I watch, probably more than I should. Because here's the thing, breakups hurt. That's normal. But I never expected someone I loved to turn my whole life into a shopping list. To treat my trust, my name, my future like just another thing she could swipe and walk away with. And the scariest part? She probably told herself she deserved it. When I say I didn't see it coming, I mean it. I thought Lana was just another messy chapter in my dating life, you know? The kind you laugh about with your friends a few months later. Remember that girl who cried in the KFC parking lot because they forgot her extra sauce? That kind of story. Instead, I got a fraud case with my name on it. We met at a birthday bray in Johannesburg. One of those loud Saturdays where there's too much meat on the grill, kids screaming somewhere in the background, and someone's always arguing about soccer. Lana walked in late, like she wanted everyone to see her. And they did. She was beautiful, I'm not gonna lie. Big smile, loud laugh, that kind of chaotic energy that makes shy people want to be near her just to feel more alive. She slid into the group like she'd been there for years, greeting people with "Hey babes," and "my guy" like she owned the place. She found her way to me pretty quickly. "So, Mr. Quiet over there," she said, nudging me with her elbow. "You're just gonna stand there and look mysterious, or you're gonna actually talk to me?" I laughed, because what else do you do? We got to talking. I told her I worked in a corporate job in Santon, nothing fancy, just grinding away in one of those glass boxes. She made fun of me for being a Thai guy, even though I wasn't wearing one. I found out she did a bit of everything. Hair, nails, some online stuff. It was vague, but I didn't push it. It was early. People are allowed to be vague early on. We started seeing each other. At first, it was great. She was funny, spontaneous, always up for a late-night drive or random milkshake run. She'd send voice notes in the middle of the day like, "Babe, are you eating? Don't make me come there and beat you with a coda." Stuff like that. Stupid, silly, sweet. She made me feel wanted. After a long day of spreadsheets and meetings, that felt like oxygen. But it didn't stay cute for long. The clinginess started slowly. At first it was just "Where you?" texts. Then "Send me a pic of who you're with." If I didn't reply instantly, she'd send 3 more, all in a row. "Hello? Are you ignoring me now? Wow. Okay." If I was out with friends, she'd call over and over until I stepped outside to answer. If I went to gym and forgot to tell her, I'd come back to 10 missed calls and a nice "You're too busy to talk to me now" message. When we did fight, it was like flipping a switch. One minute she was calling me my love, baby, my man, and the next she was screaming, throwing whatever was closest, slamming doors so hard the neighbors messaged me like, "Everything okay, brew?" She had a temper that didn't match her size. I'm not exaggerating when I say I've seen her go from flirting to full-on meltdown in under a minute. One time we argued because I said I couldn't come over. I had a presentation to finish. She showed up outside my complex, banging on the gate, shouting my name like it was a movie. Security had to calm her down. I kept making excuses. She's just passionate. She's been through a lot. She just cares too much. You know the lies you tell yourself when you're scared to admit you picked wrong. The night it all ended, we had one of the usual blow-ups. I'd told her I wanted to go out with the guys for once, just us. No drama. No checking my phone every 5 seconds. She started crying, then yelling, then crying again. Accused me of choosing the streets over her. Told me I didn't love her. Told me I'd regret this. Something in me snapped. I was tired. Tired of the shouting. Tired of being monitored like a teenager. Tired of feeling guilty for needing air. I can't do this anymore, I said. We're done. She went quiet. Not calm quiet. Cold quiet. She wiped her face, looked at me with this expression I still can't explain, and said, "Okay. Cool. You'll see." Then she grabbed her bag and left. I actually felt relief. I remember sitting on my couch in my little one-bedroom, staring at the TV without really watching, just breathing. Thinking, finally. It's over. About an hour later, my phone buzzed. Bank notification. Our $9.50 spent at a clothing store. I frowned. Must be a mistake. Then another alert. Our $200 at an electronics shop. Our $600 at a cosmetics store. In the space of 5 minutes, it was like my phone had turned into a slot machine vomiting out loss after loss. My heart dropped. I yanked out my wallet, checked my cards. My main credit card slot was empty. My backup card too. I checked my jeans, the kitchen counter, every usual place. Gone. I called the bank, heart racing, fingers shaking so badly, I kept hitting the wrong number on the phone menu. When I finally got through to a human, I blurted out, "My cards have been stolen. There's transactions I don't recognize. Please block everything now." The agent on the other end asked me all the security questions like this was any other Tuesday. I answered them, pacing the room. She went through the transactions one by one. "Did you make a purchase at?" "No." "And this one?" "No." "Sir, are you sure no one else has access to your cards?" That question stung. Because technically, yeah, someone had access. Lana had been in my flat. She'd borrowed my wallet before to order food when I was in the shower, waving it at me with, "Relax, babes, you can trust me." I suddenly remembered all those times my wallet had been slightly out of place, and I'd blamed it on myself. They blocked the cards, but by then a lot of damage was already done. Thousands. Multiple stores. Multiple attempts. The bank flagged the charges for investigation, told me they'd open a fraud case, told me the usual no guarantees, but we'll see what we can reverse. They suggested I file a police report too. I didn't clock it at first. Honestly, I thought I'd smashed it. Decent job, decent flat, decent girl. For a lad who grew up on a council estate in East London, sharing a bedroom with 2 brothers and a mold patch, that felt like a win. Alicia was, yeah. She was the one everyone noticed before you even walked into the room. Loud laugh, big hair, bigger personality. I used to watch other blokes clock her when we walked in together, and I'd get that stupid little rush of pride. Like, yeah, that's my girl. I work nights behind the bar, so I'm used to characters, but she had this way of making everyone feel like they were the only one she cared about. My mum adored her. My boss thought she was hilarious. My mates loved her. That should have been the first red flag. At the start, it was harmless stuff. We'd be out with my friends, and she'd nudge me and go, "Your mate Jay's actually fit, you know." And I'd laugh it off. "Yeah, calm down, that's my boy, don't get jealous when I run off with him." Banter. Just jokes. That's what I told myself. Then it became a pattern. We'd be at the pub, and she'd lean in and whisper, "Can we just talk about how good Liam's arms look in that shirt?" Or, "If I wasn't with you, I'd probably go for Ben. He's got that whole quiet psycho thing going on." She'd say it grinning, like it was nothing. Like we were just mates people watching together. And I'd laugh too, because what else do? You don't want to be that boyfriend. The insecure one. The one who can't take a joke. Especially when you've grown up around lads who'd rather be cheated on than be seen as clingy. I told myself it was just her personality. She was flirty, dramatic, over the top. That's why I liked her. But little things started stacking up. She started hanging round with my mates without me. At first, it was small stuff. I'd be at work on a late shift, and she'd send a selfie like, "Look who I bumped into XX." And it would be her and Jay at some random bar. Or her and Liam, just grabbing food after the gym. Or her and Marcus, my oldest mate from primary school, sitting on a sofa, way too close, with some Netflix show paused behind them. I'd reply like, "Oh mad, I didn't know you lot were out." And she'd hit me with, "Babe, chill, we're just hanging out. You always say you want me to get on with your friends." And she'd punctuate it with one of those heart emojis and a selfie of her pulling a stupid face. And I'd let it go. Again. I mean, these were my boys. "Jay, I've known him since we were kids nicking crisps from the corner shop. Liam, met him at the gym. We spotted each other for years. Ben, my quiet mate from school who's basically family. Marcus, best man material, or so I thought. Adam and Reese, my pub crew, the lads who were there for my first shift behind the bar. These weren't randoms. These were my people. So when that text from Ben came in, it didn't even register as anything serious at first. I was on a late break behind the bar, scrolling my phone, wiping glasses. Yo, we need to talk. I actually smiled. Thought he was about to moan about FIFA or ask to borrow money again. I messaged back. What's up? I'm on break. Call me. He rang almost instantly. His voice sounded wrong from the first hello. Too tight. Too serious. Ben's not a serious guy. His whole personality is 3 jokes and a shrug. Bruv, I don't even know how to say this. My stomach did this little twist, but I still weren't thinking that. Maybe someone died. Maybe someone got arrested. He took a breath. I slept with Alicia. For a second, I genuinely thought he was winding me up. I laughed. Like an idiot. Shut up, man. You're not funny. He stayed quiet. I heard him breathing. I heard a car door shut in the background. He wasn't joking. It happened when you went up to Manchester for that bar training thing, he said. We were all out. We got drunk. She came back to mine. It had happened. I'm not gonna lie about it. My brain just blanked. I could hear the fruit machine in the corner, someone ordering a lager, my boss calling my name. And over all that, his voice apologizing, saying he'd felt guilty for months, that he couldn't look me in the eye anymore. I hung up. I didn't even say anything. Just ended the call and stood there staring at the ice machine like it was going to give me answers. I wish it ended with Ben. It didn't. The next few days were like living in some sick group chat confessional. One by one, the others came out of the woodwork. First Jay messaged, asking if we could meet, just us. Then Marcus. Then Liam. Even Adam and Reese, who I never thought took anything seriously in their lives. Every conversation started the same way. There's something I've got to tell you, bro. Every conversation ended the same way. It was Alicia. I'm sorry. It wasn't just once. Turned out, my 2-year relationship was more like a group project I wasn't invited to. Alicia had slept with every single one of my 6 closest mates. Not once, not some drunk mistake after a messy night out. We're talking repeated, ongoing, secret little side relationships while she was still posting my face on Instagram with my world written under it. You start replaying everything. Every joke, every comment, every random night she said, I'm just gonna pop out for a bit with the guys, you don't mind, do you? You remember the times you woke up at 3 a.m., rolled over, and saw the phone screen glow lighting up her face while she typed with that little smile. You remember how she always wanted group photos, always changed position, so she was next to someone different each time. From a distance, it probably looked like we were this tight little friend circle. Close, comfortable, smiling at the camera. In every picture, Alicia's angled towards a different bloke. Arm around my shoulders, eyes locked on someone else. When I finally confronted her, I'd built it up in my head like some dramatic showdown. Me with receipts. Her crying, apologizing, promising to change. Some movie scene. It was nothing like that. She was sitting on my sofa scrolling TikTok when I came in. I told her I'd spoken to Ben. Then Jay. Then Marcus. I laid it out as calm as I could. My voice was shaking, but I kept it steady. I told her I knew. All of it. She didn't cry. Didn't panic. Didn't even look that surprised. She just sighed, rolled her eyes a bit, like I'd brought up something boring. You done, she said. I just stared. So it's true. She shrugged. Yeah, and? You weren't exactly husband material, were you? I felt something in me just drop. You cheated on me with 6 of my closest friends, I said. You've been doing it for almost the entire relationship. How is that not a big deal to you? She leaned back, folded her arms, that same confident party girl posture, like we were debating which takeaway to order. Look, you introduced me to them, she said. You wanted me to be part of your group. I just fit in. Better than you, apparently. Maybe if you paid more attention, you'd have seen it coming. No apology. No guilt. Just that cold. I don't even remember half of what I said after that. I remember my hands shaking. I remember her smirking when I raised my voice. I remember her saying, honestly, you're being dramatic. It's not like we were married. It was just fun. Just fun. I told her to get out. She laughed at first. Thought I was bluffing. But then she saw my face and realized I wasn't joking. She packed a bag, no rush, even stole one of my hoodies because it's comfy, and walked out like she was just nipping to Tesco. It was supposed to be a normal breakup. Awkward, sure. Uncomfortable, yeah. But not this. I honestly thought Liza and I would just sit down, have that painful, we're not working conversation, maybe cry a little. Instead, it turned into something that still makes my skin crawl when I think about it. We'd been together just under a year. In a town like ours, that's basically dog years. People were already dropping hints about rings, houses, kids. Small Midwest town, population, everyone knows your business. My dad is kind of a big deal there. Not like famous, but, head coach for the high school football team, deacon at church, runs the local sporting goods store. One of those good men of the community types people point to and go, that's the kind of father you want to be. Liza loved that part, or at least she pretended to. From the start, she fit in almost too well. My mom adored her. My dad called her kiddo and would add extra bacon to the grill whenever she came over. My friends thought she was hilarious, charming. She'd bake brownies for game nights, laugh at every stupid joke, hug everybody goodbye. She blended into my life like she'd been pre-cut to fit. Then she changed. It was slow. That's the thing that messes you up later, how gradual it was. First, it was just the phone, always in her hand, always turned slightly away from me. I'd ask how her day was. I'd get the same canned answer. Busy, you know how it is. Then she'd smile and pivot the conversation back to me. It felt flattering at first, like she wanted to focus on us. Then came the late replies. The sorry fell asleep at 8 p.m. The didn't see this, when I could clearly see she'd been online. The little distance you can't measure, but you feel. We'd go to dinner with my parents, and she'd light up for them. Talkative, interested, laughing at my dad's recycled stories like it was the first time she'd heard them. Then as soon as we were in the truck heading home, she'd go quiet, turn to the window, and drift somewhere else. I told myself it was stress. Work. Life. I didn't want to be that guy who pushes. The night everything snapped was honestly just a boring Thursday. I was supposed to work late. I'd picked up an extra shift at the warehouse, and then got a text from my manager around 5. Truck's delayed. Go home. I remember feeling weirdly excited. I thought, cool, surprise date night. Maybe we can fix this. Liza had said she was having a chill night at my place, which my parents still called home, because I hadn't moved out yet. Yeah, I know. 20-something still in his childhood room, but that's how it is sometimes in small towns. You save money. You help out. Life is slow. When I pulled into the driveway, Dad's truck was already there. That wasn't unusual. He lives there. What threw me was the second car in front of the house. Liza's. Mom wasn't home. Her car was gone. That meant what? Maybe they were just hanging out. Maybe she'd come early for dinner. Maybe I was overthinking. I walked in through the side door like I always do. The house smelled like coffee and something sweet, my mom's vanilla candles. The TV was on in the living room, low volume. I could hear laughter. Not just any laugh. Dad's rumbling chuckle and Liza's high, bright giggle twisted together. I turned the corner and there they were. I don't know how to explain it except, when you walk into a room and instantly feel like you shouldn't be there? That was it. They were on the couch, sitting too close. Not future daughter-in-law and father-in-law sharing a joke close. Knees almost touching. Bodies angled toward each other, like they were inside some bubble I was intruding on. There were 2 coffee mugs on the table, both still steaming. Her shoes were off. Her hand was resting on the back of the couch behind him. It was such a small thing, that hand. Casual. Familiar. They didn't hear me at first. I just stood there, stuck in the doorway, watching them laugh at something on his phone. My dad leaned in to show her the screen, and she kind of nudged his shoulder with hers. It was an intimate gesture, tiny but wrong. In the way it was too easy. I cleared my throat. Liza flinched like she'd been shot. She jerked back, eyes wide, face going pale. My dad, he just froze. Screen still in his hand, mouth slightly open. He looked at me like I was a stranger who'd barged into his house. Hey bud, he said finally. His voice sounded fake. Too bright. You're home early. Liza tried to smile. It came out crooked. I thought you were working late, she said. That's when it clicked. Not everything, not the full picture, but enough. The kind of enough that makes your stomach drop through the floor. I looked at her. Then him. Then back at her. All these little moments from the past few months flashed by. Liza volunteering to help your dad at the store. Them sharing inside jokes at dinner I wasn't part of. Her phone lighting up with Coach H during movie night and her saying, "Oh, it's just your dad, he needed the game score." I wish I could say I confronted them like some movie hero. I didn't. I just heard myself say, way too calm, "What's going on?" No one answered. Eventually Liza stammered, "It's not what you think." Classic line. I almost laughed. My dad said nothing. He just stared at the coffee table, jaw clenched. I walked out. I didn't shout. I didn't throw anything. I just turned around, went upstairs, grabbed my keys and wallet, and left. It took a couple days for the full story to start oozing out. First from him. We met in the kitchen like strangers. Mom was at her sister's, thank God. "It was a mistake," he said. "It just happened. We didn't mean to hurt you." He said it like they'd dropped a plate. I asked how long. He said, "A few months." His eyes gave him away. It had been longer. You can feel when somebody's editing the truth down to what they think you can survive. He kept using that word. Mistake. I'm still your father. We can move past this. You'll understand when you're older. I'm not 12. I'm not too young to understand. I just don't want to swallow something that poisonous and pretend it's food. Then there was Liza. She texted nonstop. At first it was the usual. "I'm so sorry. It's not what you think. Can we please talk?" Then the tone shifted. I was confused. You were pulling away and your dad was there for me. I never meant to hurt you, but I needed someone who listened. She started painting herself as this lost, fragile girl who just happened to fall onto the nearest shoulder. The fact that the nearest shoulder belonged to my father didn't seem to bother her narrative much. What really gutted me was finding out it wasn't just him. Small-town gossip spreads fast when it wants to. A guy from my rec league pulled me aside after practice, wouldn't look me in the eye, and said, "Man, I think you should know. Liza and I, it was a while back. I thought you were on a break." We weren't. Then another guy, a friend of my cousin. Same story. Different times. Same girl. And always the same pattern, late-night deep talks. I'm so confused, I don't know what to do. I realized my relationship had ended months before I knew. I'd just been walking around in the ghost of it. Meanwhile, my dad kept his script tight. "You need to forgive," he'd say. "Holding on to anger will just eat you up." Coming from the guy who slept with my girlfriend, that sounded pretty rich. He still went to church every Sunday. Still shook hands with everybody. I met Elian on Hinge. He had this kind of chaotic charm that made you feel like nothing would ever be boring around him. His bio read like a manifesto for spontaneous living, and the photos were a mix of rooftop parties, Polaroid selfies, and shirtless gym mirror shots. Normally, that last one would make me swipe left, but I was in a mood. A why not kind of mood. He messaged me first. "Birthday pregame at my Airbnb this Saturday. Bring your friend. Vibes only." It was forward, but something about the confidence made me pause. I sent a screenshot to my best friend, Zafira. She replied in all caps, "Let's go. You never say yes to anything." So I said yes. Saturday evening, we pulled up to the Airbnb, a narrow 3-story townhouse in a semi-gentrified neighborhood on the edge of Atlanta. It was the kind of place rented by people who wanted to feel expensive without paying for it. Elian had told us to arrive at 8 p.m. to pregame with the crew, before going to a club called Havana. As we walked up the stairs, Zafira adjusted her curls in the reflection of the glass door. "Let's just have fun," she said. I smiled, but something in my gut nodded quietly. I brushed it off. The moment we stepped inside, the room felt off. There were 3 other girls in the living room, doing their makeup, but they barely looked up. I approached with a smile, said, "Hi, I'm Narelle. Nice to meet you guys." One of them made a half nod without eye contact. The others just blinked. I whispered to Zafira, "Okay, I see reception." Elian appeared at the top of the stairs. "Hey, you made it." He came down, pulled me into a quick hug, then did the same to Zafira. "I'm really sorry about the vibe in here. It's been weird all night. Come up to the roof. It's better up there." We followed him to the rooftop, which had string lights, 2 folding chairs, and a Bluetooth speaker playing a lo-fi mix. The view was decent, mostly rooftops and distant skyline, but the cold hit fast. We wrapped our jackets tighter. Elian started venting. "It's my birthday, and these girls are acting like I ruined their lives. I got the Airbnb, planned everything, and they still don't want to go where I want. Like it's my night." He looked genuinely frustrated. Zafira and I exchanged a look. She gave him a reassuring smile. "Hey, forget them. Hang with us. We're down to celebrate. That seemed to lift his spirits. He poured us drinks from a bottle of Casamigos, and we toasted to new friends and better energy. For a moment, it almost felt like it could be a good night. But as the night unfolded, I started noticing subtle shifts. Elian kept turning to Zafira more than me. Asking her questions, complimenting her earrings, laughing at everything she said. I wasn't jealous, more detached. I had come with zero expectations, but I couldn't ignore the feeling of being slowly edged out of my own plans. His friend, a quiet guy named Jarek, arrived around 9:30 and called the Uber to Havana. We all piled in. That's when I realized something was wrong. I didn't have my purse. I dug through my coat pockets, checked the floor. Nothing. I turned to Jarek. Hey, you called the Uber, right? I think I left my purse in there. Can you message the driver? He shrugged. Probably left it upstairs or on the roof. I'll check later. Don't stress it. I didn't want to ruin the night, or Elian's birthday, so I let it go. Told myself it was probably just inside. I'd check after we got back. Havana was packed. Loud, dark, neon lights flickering over the dance floor. We danced, we drank. Elian stayed glued to Zafira. I stayed in my own little orbit, sipping watered-down vodka cranberries and texting myself reminders to check the rooftop later. Around 1:30 a.m., we headed back to the Airbnb. That's when the night truly turned. As we walked in, Elian turned around with a finger to his lips. Shh, be quiet. The girls are sleeping. No noise. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. He herded us up to the rooftop again, despite the cold. We can't be loud. Seriously. Just stay up here for a bit. Zafira and I looked at each other. It's freezing, she whispered. After 15 minutes of shivering, Elian finally said, Okay, come downstairs. But not to the kitchen. Just come to my room. He led us down one flight of stairs, opened his bedroom door, and motioned for us to walk in. Then he closed the door behind us and locked it. The air went still. I didn't panic, but I felt something shift in my chest. I turned to him. Hey, I still need to find my purse. Can I check the rooftop or the kitchen? He didn't even hesitate. No. I repeated, confused. He shook his head. Nah, it's late. Just look tomorrow. My purse has my house keys, my car keys, everything. I can't get home without it. You probably just left it upstairs. Chill. It'll turn up. I turned to Jarek. Did you hear from the Uber driver? He shrugged. Haven't heard anything. I felt the panic start to rise. I wasn't trying to be dramatic, but I needed that bag. Please, just let me go check. Elian's expression hardened. You're making this a thing. It's not that serious. Zafira was silent on the bed. She didn't say anything. Didn't back me up. I felt like I was going crazy. Like maybe I was overreacting. But my gut said no. You are not safe here. Can I use the bathroom? I asked, my voice tight. There was one attached to the room. I went in, locked the door, and called Corey, my son's father. He picked up on the second ring. Corey, I whispered, crying. I'm locked in this room. I lost my purse. I can't get home. They won't let me leave. Where are you? He asked, instantly alert. Near downtown. I'll send the address. Please come. Suddenly, the bathroom door burst open. Zafira had come in, glaring. We can hear you talking ***** about us, she snapped. I stared at her. You're not helping me. I had to call someone. She shook her head and walked out, muttering. I stayed in the bathroom until she left, then came out. Elian was sitting on the bed, arms crossed. You're making everyone uncomfortable. I just want to find my bag. You're being dramatic. Eventually, Zafira called me. I got an Uber. Let's go. I looked at her name on my phone. My hands shook. No. I called Corey. I'm not going with you. She hung up. I was trapped in the room with Elian. I stood my ground. Give me the Uber driver's info. I'll call myself. He exploded. Why are you blaming me? I didn't take your bag. I'm not blaming. I'm asking for help. You're acting crazy. Finally, he opened the door. You need to go. I walked down the stairs. Another guy appeared, one I hadn't seen all night. He pointed to the door. You need to leave. I stood on the sidewalk, crying into the phone as Corey stayed with me the whole time. I called the non-emergency police line. Officers came, knocked on the door, and said, if they don't answer, there's nothing we can do. They left. Corey arrived an hour later. He hugged me tight, told me it would be okay. Drove me to my sister's house where I crashed on her couch, keys still missing, heart bruised. The next day, I hired a locksmith. Corey helped me get into my apartment and rekeyed my locks. By evening, I got a text from Elian. Good news. Uber driver has your purse. I paid him $80 to get it back. You can come pick it up. No apology. Just a transactional message. I replied that I'd come in the morning. When I arrived, he handed me the purse like it was charity. See? I did my good deed. Okay, buckle up, because this is the one I still have nightmares about. I met Felicity online. Standard modern love story. Matched on an app, traded a few jokes, moved to long late-night calls. She was smart, sharp, and stupidly gorgeous. We met for drinks just to see, and it felt like we'd known each other for years. Within a month, we were inseparable. Brunches, movie nights, staying up until 3 a.m. talking about childhood trauma like it was foreplay. I thought I'd hit the jackpot. The first jealousy moments seemed almost cute. She'd text, "Where are you? Who are you with?" and throw a little mock pout when I said I was grabbing a beer with friends. She'd half-jokingly say, "You better not be flirting with any waitresses," and I'd laugh and kiss her forehead, thinking she was just really into me. Then the check-ins became constant. If I didn't reply within a few minutes, my phone would light up with call after call. At first it was just worried about you. Then it turned into, why didn't you pick up? Who are you with? Put them on the phone. If I was polite to a woman in public, a barista, a coworker, she'd go quiet, her jaw tight, and I knew I'd be interrogated later. I tried to talk to her, told her it was a lot, that I needed space. She'd cry, tell me about her exes who cheated, how terrified she was of being abandoned. I felt cruel even thinking of leaving. So I stayed. I wish I hadn't. The night everything snapped, I woke up to the sound of my own phone buzzing. Felicity was on my side of the bed, scrolling through my messages. The screen glow made her face look hollow. What are you doing? I croaked. Her eyes were wild. Who is Rachel? Rachel was an old friend. I hadn't texted her in months. The messages weren't even flirty, memes, work gossip, nothing. Felicity didn't care. She screamed, threw my phone across the room, shoved me in the chest so hard I hit the nightstand. When I tried to calm her down, she swung at me, catching my shoulder. That was it for me. The next day, heart pounding, I told her it was over. She sobbed, begged, promised therapy, whatever I wanted. I almost caved. Almost. But I stuck to it. That's when the real horror started. My phone turned into a weapon. Dozens of calls a day. Voicemails flipping from sobbing apologies to snarled threats. You ruined my life. I can't live without you. If I see you with another girl, I swear to God. I blocked her number. She made new ones. I blocked her on social media. She popped up with fake accounts. Then she started showing up in person, outside my building, across the street from my job, staring. Never coming close enough to be a threat, just close enough that I saw her, that I knew she was there. Then I came home one day, and my front door was slightly open. Inside, my apartment was wrecked. Clothes shredded, drawers overturned, plates smashed. On the floor were printed photos of us, scattered like confetti. In every one, my face was scratched out with something sharp until the paper tore. I knew it was her. I called the police, hands shaking. They took a report, but without cameras or witnesses, there wasn't much they could do. Document everything, they said. If it escalates, call us. I started couch surfing with friends, too scared to sleep alone. I jumped at every sound, every unknown number. The escalation came on a rainy night. I was walking back to my building from a friend's place when I heard footsteps behind me, quickening when I did. I glanced back. Felicity. Her hair was soaked, mascara smeared, eyes burning holes into me. Go home, Felicity, I said, trying to sound firm and failing. She didn't answer, just sped up. I broke into a run. My keys slipped in my sweaty hand as I reached my building. I fumbled with the lock, got the door halfway open, and she yanked me backward by my jacket. You don't get to leave me, she shrieked, nails digging into my arm. She clawed, grabbed, tried to drag me away from the entrance. I fought back, pure panic, shoving and twisting until I broke free and slammed the door in her face. She pounded on it, screaming my name, threatening, sobbing. I called the police right there on the floor, back pressed to the wood, listening to her rage bleed into the night. This time, when they came, they caught her. I pressed charges. She was arrested, convicted of stalking and harassment, and ordered into therapy. People think it ends there. It doesn't. I'm not crazy for still checking the gate 3 times, right? Just start from the beginning, please. From Jane. Okay. Jane. In Lagos we call girls like her big girls. Always soft life, ring light, and sponsored trips. I'm a mid-level banker in 6, still sending money home to my mum in Benin. I had no business dating an influencer, but you know how it is. She noticed me in one lounge on the island, posted a boomerang, tagged me. Next thing, we were a thing. At first it was sweet. She'd bring me lunch at the office, post cute stories. My banker boo, always serious. She loved Max too, my dog. I picked him off the street outside our compound during rainy season, small and shaking. Everybody in the compound knows Max. The kids call him Chairman. The security guys sneak him Suya. The fight started small. Jane didn't like that I couldn't travel with her, that I wouldn't appear on her YouTube. She'd pout, "Babe, are you ashamed of me?" Then came the jealousy. If I mentioned a female colleague, she'd switch to Pigeon. "So now that you're slim babe for office you day form loyal for, ABI?" Breakup day was war. She screamed, cried, threatened to drag me online, said my salary can't maintain her brand. I told her I just wanted peace. She left with one last line, "You go know who I be." Things started going off after that. Some evenings, I'd come home and swear I locked the front door, but the bolt would be open. My NEPA bill came already torn. I blamed the PHCN guys or my own forgetfulness. Then one morning, I stepped out to go to work and all 4 tires on my Corolla were slashed. Not one, all 4. The security guys just shook their heads. "Not person way know you bros," one of them said. "Dem even avoid the rims." I reported it, got a police abstract, moved on. What can you do? Then the emails started. Anonymous accounts sending stuff like, "You think you can replace me?" Or "Remember that night in Ibadan Hotel, room 208? Things only Jane would know. Some were in perfect corporate English, like she was writing a memo. Others dropped straight into Pigeon. "Guy, I go scatter you." The mix made my skin crawl. It was like she was trying on different masks. "Why didn't you go back to the police then?" Because I felt stupid. A grown man, a banker, complaining that his ex is sending emotional emails? In this country? They'd laugh. Tell me to man up, block her prey. The night everything broke, I came home and knew something was wrong before I even opened the door. The compound was too quiet. Max didn't bark. Inside, the place was chaos. Sofa cushions ripped open, clothes cut, drawers pulled out. My TV was smashed on the floor, like someone dropped it on purpose. And the photos, printed pictures of Jane and me, scattered everywhere, my face scratched out till the paper tore. I called for Max. Nothing. I ran around the flat like a madman, checking under the bed, in the bathroom, the balcony. No dog, no leash, nothing. Just his metal food bowl knocked over. That's when I really lost it. I called the police, voice shaking, and told them everything, about Jane, the tires, the emails, now Max. They finally took it seriously, sent a patrol, took fingerprints, said they'd investigate. That night, around midnight, my phone rang from an unknown number. "Hello," her voice. Calm, almost bored. "Do you want your dog back?" My mouth went dry. "Jane, where is Max?" "He's safe," she said. "For now. But you know accidents can happen. Cars don't always stop, and if you just come back, we can be family again. You, me, Max. Like old times." I could hear traffic in the background, horns, Danfo drivers shouting. I pictured her parked on some dark road with my dog whimpering in the back. "You're sick," I said. "I'm not coming back. Just give me my dog." She sighed. "Okay, your choice. Just remember, his life is in your hands." The line cut. I called the police again. They traced the call to a payphone in Oshodi, but by the time they got there, nothing. No Jane, no Max. Those next days, I didn't sleep. I plastered the area with flyers, begged on community WhatsApp groups, went from shelter to shelter. The compound kids asked every day, "Uncle, you never see Chairman?" On the 3rd day, an animal shelter out by the expressway called. We found a brown mixed breed with a blue collar, name tag says Max. He was injured, gash on his leg, dehydrated, covered in dust, but alive. When he saw me, he tried to wag his tail and cry at the same time. I broke down in front of everyone. Later, the police found more. CCTV of Jane's car, near my street the night of the break-in. An email account linked back to her influencer business line. Witnesses who saw a fine girl with lashes, dragging a confused dog into a tinted SUV. They picked her up eventually. She was charged with stalking, harassment, breaking and entering, animal cruelty, the works. Her fans said I was lying, that I was bitter, trying to ruin a successful woman. Her lawyer tried to paint me as controlling. I sat in court, hands clenched, while they argued about my life like it was content. Max healed. Physically anyway. He still startles at loud car horns. Me? I moved to a new flat on the mainland, installed cameras, changed all my numbers. I started therapy, which is why I'm here, I guess. And what scares you the most now? Not that she'll come back. That someone I loved could look at the one innocent thing in my life and see a weapon. That's what keeps me checking the gate 3 times before I sleep. I met Felicity online, like everyone does these days. She was gorgeous, sharp, funny in that slightly dark way that makes you feel like you're in on some private joke. We started talking every day, then every night, then suddenly we were us. The first few months were great. We were inseparable, dates, sleepovers, lazy Sundays where it felt like the rest of the world didn't exist. The first red flags looked cute at the time. She always wanted to know where I was, who I was with. "Send me a pic so I know you're safe," she'd say, half laughing. It felt like affection until it didn't. The texts turned into constant check-ins. If I didn't reply in a few minutes, my phone would light up, missed calls, messages, accusations. If I mentioned a female coworker, her whole mood shifted. I told myself she was just insecure, that love meant reassuring her. Big mistake. One night I woke up, and she wasn't in bed. My phone was in her hand. She'd gone through everything, texts, emails, socials. She'd found old messages from female friends, totally innocent stuff. She snapped, screaming, throwing my phone, hurling whatever she could grab. When I tried to calm her down, she shoved me so hard I hit the dresser. Then she swung at me. That was the line. The next day, shaking, I told her it was over. She cried, begged, promised therapy, change, whatever I wanted. I almost caved. I didn't. That's when it turned into a horror movie. My voicemail filled with messages, some sobbing, some sweet, some pure venom. "I love you, please pick up. You ruined my life. I hope you rot." I blocked her number. She made new ones. Blocked her on social media. She made fake profiles. She started popping up at my work, just happening to be nearby. I'd see her across the street, staring. Never talking, just letting me know she was there. Then I came home one evening, and my front door was cracked open. Inside, my apartment was destroyed. Clothes shredded. Furniture flipped. On the floor were photos of us, dozens of them, my face violently scratched out in every single one. I called the police. They took a report, but there were no cameras, no witnesses. "Keep track of everything," they said. "Call us if it escalates." It did. I started crashing on friends' couches, too scared to sleep alone. But you can't hide forever. One night, I was walking back to my building from a friend's place when I heard footsteps behind me, matching my pace. I glanced back. Felicity. Her hair was a mess, eyes wide, smile twitching. "You can't just leave me," she said. I bolted for the door. She grabbed me from behind, nails digging into my arm, trying to drag me back down the path. She was screaming, nonsense, threats. I don't even remember the words. It was just noise and panic and adrenaline. Somehow I tore free, shoved her back, stumbled inside, and slammed the door. She pounded on it, shrieking my name while I called the police with shaking hands. This time they caught her. She was arrested and eventually charged with stalking and harassment, ordered into therapy, and kept away from me by law. People think that's where it ends. It doesn't. I still double-check my locks every night. I still jump when an unknown number calls. I still scan crowds without meaning to, looking for her face. Felicity isn't in my life anymore, but the fear she left behind definitely is. I used to think I understood the whole crazy ex thing. You hear the stories, laugh them off over drinks, promise yourself you'd never ignore the red flags. Then I met Maya. We met at a tiny bar in Shibuya, the kind that's up 3 narrow flights of stairs, and feels like it might just slide off the building in a strong wind. I was there with co-workers from the game studio, half-Japanese kid from Seattle, trying to sound more fluent in Japanese than I really was. She was there with office friends from her insurance company. White blouse, navy skirt, neat hair, the standard OL uniform, but her laugh was huge, uncontrolled, bright in a room full of Otsukaresama Disu and polite nods. She was funny, sharp, and she seemed genuinely interested in my weird half-and-half life. We traded line IDs. A week later, we were inseparable. For a while it was easy. Ramen dates. Late-night train rides. She'd fall asleep on my shoulder, her work tote slipped to the floor, mumbling apologies about long overtime hours and annoying clients. I'd walk her back to her share house, listening to her vent about her boss, her mother calling to ask when she was going to get married. The first jealousy comments slid in like jokes. "You talk a lot with that girl at work," she said once, stirring her coffee. "Pretty, any?" I laughed it off. "She's just on my team, that's all." Maya smiled soft. "So ka. Just team." Then she started checking my phone. At first it was a quick glance when I got a notification. Then she was picking it up while I was in the shower, scrolling. I walked out one night, towel around my waist, and found her sitting on my futon, my phone in her hands. "Who is Emily?" she asked in careful English, as if practicing. "An artist I work with. We're prototyping something," I said. She nodded, eyes flat. You talk late. So hardworking, both of you." That night she cried for an hour. Said she was scared I'd realize I could do better than a tired office lady. I reassured her until my throat hurt. The cycle set in. Suspicion. Accusations. Screaming, her voice sharp and shrill in our tiny 1 LDK. Then tears. Apologies. Goman, I'm crazy, any? You will leave me, any? I'd tell her I wasn't going anywhere. Then I got promoted. Lead designer on a new project. More money, more responsibility, more travel to LA and Seoul. When I told her, her smile froze. "So, you will meet many cute game girls," she said lightly. "Foreign girls. It's work, Maya." She didn't believe me. When I traveled, my phone turned into a leash. If I didn't answer her call in 3 rings, she'd blow up my line. "Send video," she'd demand. "Show me hotel room." I'd be on calls with the team and see her name flash on the screen 10, 15 times in a row. I held it together for a few months. Then one night, sitting alone in a Seoul hotel room, listening to her scream down the phone because I'd had dinner with colleagues, something just snapped. When I flew back to Tokyo, I asked her to meet me in the little park behind my apartment. She sat on the swing, still in her office clothes, clutching a convenience store coffee. "I can't do this anymore," I said, in Japanese this time so there was no misunderstanding. "We're not good for each other. This has to end." Her face crumpled. Tears, shaking shoulders, soft apologies. She apologized in that overly polite way, stringing honorifics together like beads. "Please, I will change, I promise. I go to counseling. I don't check your phone. I trust you. I be good girlfriend, any?" I almost broke. Then she stopped crying. Just like that. The tears switched off. Her eyes went cold. "You will regret this," she said quietly in English. That scared me more than the yelling. I blocked her. Line, Instagram, everything. That's when the burner numbers started. Unknown calls. Voicemails of soft breathing. Emails from random addresses. "Cheater. I saw you with her. I'm watching you." One morning, "Cheater" was scratched into the paint of my little K car in shaky katakana. Another night, I came home to find my apartment turned over. Drawers pulled out, clothes on the floor, nothing stolen, but on the bathroom mirror, written in lipstick, Maida Mesu. "I'm watching you." The police actually took it seriously. Stalking laws here are stricter now. I showed them the messages, the car, the mirror. They issued a restraining order. I slept a little better for about a week. Then came the knife. It was late, maybe 2 a.m. The city was in that strange Tokyo state where it's quiet, but never really silent. You can still hear the distant trains, vending machines humming, elevator dings somewhere down the hall. I woke up to a sound downstairs in the living area. A soft scrape. Something set gently on the floor. I lay there listening. Heart pounding. Another sound, tap, tap, tap. Like metal touching wood. I grabbed the baseball bat my American dad left behind years ago. "Just in case, kiddo." And crept down the narrow stairs. Every step felt too loud. The apartment smelled faintly of someone else's perfume, floral and cloying. From the hallway, I could see the edge of the living room. The glow from the microwave clock. And a shadow that shouldn't be there. I stepped forward. Maya was standing in the middle of my living room. Barefoot. Hair loose. Office blouse wrinkled, as if she'd been wearing it all day. In her hand, hanging loosely at her side, was my kitchen knife. For a second, my brain refused to process it. It just broke the moment into fragments. Her fingers. Silver blade. White knuckles. "Maya," I said, voice too high. "What are you doing here?" She turned her head slowly, like it hurt. When she spoke, her voice was soft, polite, almost apologetic. "I love you," she said, in that Japanese-tinged English. "I just want to be together. Only us. Forever, any?" The knife gleamed under the fluorescent light. I lifted the bat, hands shaking. "Put the knife down. You need to leave. Now." She took one small step toward me. Her bare foot made a tiny sound on the tatami. Her expression didn't change at all. "If I can't have you," she whispered, "no one can." Time went slow. I remember the hum of the fridge, the faint buzz of the neon sign outside bleeding through the curtains, the way the tip of the knife tapped once against the floor as she tightened her grip. Tap. I swung. The bat connected with her forearm. A dull, sickening thud. She screamed, high and animal, and the knife clattered onto the floor. I kicked it away without thinking. Adrenaline took over. I grabbed her, dragged her toward the front door while she sobbed and cursed in a messy mix of Japanese and English. I shoved her out into the dim hallway, slammed the door, locked it, slid the chain across. Then I backed away, bat still raised, and called the police with my free hand. They came fast. Lights, uniforms, careful questions. They found her still in the building, clutching her arm, shrieking that I'd attacked her. But the knife was in my living room. The texts and emails were on my phone. The lipstick message was still on my mirror. I always thought I was pretty good with risk. I'm an accountant, for God's sake. My idea of living dangerously used to be rounding something up instead of down on a spreadsheet. I color-code my sock drawer. That's the level we're talking about. So of course I ended up with Lisa. I met her at a friend's exhibition in a tiny gallery off Dame Street. The kind of place where everyone dresses in black and pretends to understand what a pile of bricks means. I was the only Egypt there in a gray jumper and sensible shoes, nursing a warm can of lager. She appeared beside me like she'd materialized out of cigarette smoke. Paint on her jeans, hair thrown up like an afterthought, eyeliner slightly smudged. "You look like you did your taxes before you came here," she said, smiling. "That's because I did," I replied. "Somebody has to pay for all this." She laughed, properly laughed, head back, hand on my arm. "I like you. You're tidy." That should have been my first warning sign. We fell into it quickly. Dates turned into sleepovers, turned into toothbrush in my bathroom, before I'd finished processing the first kiss. She was intoxicating. She'd drag me out of bed at midnight to walk along the Liffey, because the lights look lonely. She'd sketch me while I was doing my budgeting, calling it capitalism in crisis. I'd never felt more interesting in my life. The first time she snapped about my phone, I wrote it off as a bad day. We were in a pub off Camden Street. She was mid-monologue about how love is two souls folding into one body, and my phone buzzed. I glanced at it for literally half a second. Her face shifted. The air changed. "Am I boring you?" she asked, voice flat. "It's just work," I said. "I'm listening." She stared at me like I'd just kicked a puppy. "You're with me, but you're somewhere else. I don't share." I apologized. Put the phone away. Promised I'd be more present. It felt easier than arguing, and honestly, I was still in that stupid stage where any attention felt like affection. The jealousy trickled in behind it. She'd pick up my phone if I left it on the table, scroll through messages, make little comments. "Oh, who's Aoife? Why is she sending you laughing emojis? You liked this girl's photo in 2017. Were you in love with her?" She'd sit on my couch and go through my Instagram like an archaeologist, excavating crimes out of harmless photos. "Why didn't you archive this one of your ex? Do you still want her?" It was like being cross-examined for the sins of every woman I'd ever known. I started editing myself. I answered texts faster. I stopped following people she didn't like the look of. I checked my phone in the bathroom instead of in front of her. Every time I tried to bring it up, she'd go teary-eyed and say, "I just love you more than you love me." That's the problem. We very quickly. We don't do that. We don't like those people. We don't go out without each other. If I mentioned needing time alone, she'd tilt her head and ask, "Alone with who exactly?" By the time our 1-year anniversary rolled around, I was worn thin. She suggested a trip to the mountains, some we Airbnb up in Wicklow, mist and trees and all that. I thought maybe it would help. Fresh air, no signals, fewer arguments. It was a disaster. From the moment we got in the car, she was wound tight. If I looked at the sat-nav instead of her, she sulked. If I took too long choosing a playlist, she accused me of curating the vibe away from her. The cabin was beautiful, wood stove, tiny kitchen, view of fog-soaked hills. It might as well have been a cage. We fought about everything. How much time I spent reading instead of staring deeply into her eyes. How I escaped into numbers when things got hard. How I didn't bleed my love enough. I didn't even know what that meant. On the second day, I told her I needed a walk. Just an hour up a trail nearby to clear my head. "Of course," she said, smiling too brightly. "Run away. It's what you're good at." I went anyway. It was drizzling, because Ireland, and the path was muddy, but for 45 minutes I could hear my own thoughts. Just me, my wet shoes, and the quiet. When I got back, the cabin door was open. Her coat was gone. On the table was a note, written in quick, jagged handwriting. If you loved me, you wouldn't have left me alone. I felt my heart drop into my shoes. I checked the bedroom, the bathroom, outside. Nothing. I called her. No answer. I rang again and again, walking the road like a lunatic, scanning the trees. By the time I found her, she was sitting on a rock by a lake, arms wrapped around herself, eyes fixed on the water. You left me, she said, without looking up. I could have drowned and you wouldn't know. Something snapped in me then. Not loud. Just clean. I went for a walk, I said, voice shaking. You vanished. You left a guilt trip on the table and vanished. I can't do this anymore, Lisa. She turned, eyes full of wet fury. So that's it? You're breaking up with me in a poem? Yes, I said. That's it. The drive back to Dublin was silent. She stared out the window, tears sliding down her face, and I gripped the wheel like it was the only solid thing left. After that, things should have been simple. Break up. Divide the few shared belongings. Block, unfollow, move on. She didn't get that memo. First came the calls. Long, rambling voicemails about how we were cosmically bound, and I was denying the story. Then the texts, paragraphs at 3 a.m., photos of old love notes. Remember this? Captions. I blocked her. She made new numbers, new accounts, new email addresses. It was like fighting mold. Then the coincidences started. She was always just there. I'd queue for coffee and catch her reflection in the metal counter behind me. Turn around and she'd be 3 people back, pretending to read a menu. I'd see her on the top deck of a bus as mine pulled into the stop, staring straight out the window at me. In the pub, I'd look up and she'd be in the mirror behind the bar, alone at a table watching. I started taking the long way home. Changed supermarkets. Changed pubs. It didn't matter. Dublin's not that big when someone is determined to occupy all of it. One night, I was driving back from my sister's place in the suburbs. It was late, mist hanging low over the roads, headlights making tunnels in the fog. I noticed a car behind me, a little too close. I changed lanes. It changed lanes. I turned off earlier than usual. It turned too. The rational part of my brain said, "You're being paranoid." The part that had seen her in every reflective surface for weeks said, "Speed up." I did. So did the car. The motorway turned into narrower roads, hedges creeping closer, light thinning. I could see the number plate when it got close enough, illuminated in my rearview mirror. It was hers. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my teeth. I pulled into a lay-by, hands slick on the steering wheel. The other car shot past, then slammed on the brakes and reversed, gravel crunching. She rolled down the window. Even in the dim, I could see her eyes, wide, wild, too bright. "I just want to talk," she shouted over the engine and the rain. "Why are you making this dramatic?" Every nerve in my body screamed. I hit the accelerator, swerved back onto the road, nearly clipped the hedge. My car fishtailed for a second before it gripped. In the rearview, her headlights flared, then shrank as I pulled away. It was supposed to be simple. Coffee, closure, maybe a polite hug, and we'd both move on. Diane and I had been broken up for 6 months after a dragged-out, door-slamming, cry-until-you're-hoarse kind of ending. We hadn't spoken since. Then, out of nowhere, she texted, "I think we should talk." For closure. Coffee? Neutral territory, public place, middle of the day. It sounded safe enough. I picked a busy cafe halfway between our apartments, the kind with chipped mugs, wobbly tables, and the permanent smell of burnt beans. I got there early and sat by the window, watching the door and rehearsing calm, mature sentences in my head. She was of course late. 10 minutes, then 15. I was already half ready to ditch when she finally walked in. Diane looked different. Not in a haircut kind of way. Her eyes were wider, almost too bright, and her smile seemed glued on, a few millimeters too big. She slid into the chair opposite me. "Hey," she said. "Sorry I'm late. Traffic was insane." There was no traffic. I'd walked. But I smiled. No worries. We did the small talk dance. My job. Her new pottery hobby. The weather. It felt wooden, like we were reading lines from a badly written play. Then very smoothly, she steered us into dangerous territory. "So," she said, voice dropping, "about us. Here we go." She talked about how hurt she'd been, how misunderstood, how I'd never really seen her. I nodded, apologized where it was safe, tried not to poke the bear. Then her tone shifted. "I've been thinking about you a lot," she said, with a little giggle that didn't match her eyes. "Like a lot." I replay everything. Every conversation. Every fight. And I realized something. She leaned in. "We're meant to be together, Alex. We're soulmates." My stomach dropped. "Diane, no. We weren't good together. You're just scared," she said, and suddenly her hand shot across the table, clamping onto mine. Her grip was shockingly strong. "I know you still love me. I can feel it." I tried to pull back. "Diane, this is getting weird." Her smile vanished. Her eyes sharpened. "Weird," she hissed. "You want weird? I'll show you weird." She let go just long enough to dig into her purse. My heart climbed into my throat. A knife? Something worse? She pulled out a small velvet box and snapped it open on the table. Inside was the ring. The one I'd given her when I drunkenly proposed on a beach in Mexico. The one I was sure she'd thrown into the ocean after we broke up. "I kept it," she murmured, "because I knew we'd find our way back." "Diane, put it away." "We are not." She shot to her feet, dragging me up with her by our joined hands. My coffee went flying, scalding across the table. Heads turned. "Everyone look," she shouted, voice cracking. "He's proposing. Say yes, Alex. Say yes." A few people laughed, phones already out, assuming this was some bizarre prank. But I saw her face up close, saw the raw, unhinged anger trembling just under her smile. "Let go," I whispered. "Now." Her fingers dug into my skin. "You don't mean that. You're just trying to hurt me. You owe me this." Adrenaline kicked in. I yanked my arm back hard, stumbled, knocked over a chair. The laughter died. Someone finally realized this wasn't cute. It was a scene. "Stay away from me, Diane," I managed, voice shaking. "We're done." And then I ran. Out of the cafe. Down the street. I didn't look back. For weeks afterward, I double-locked my doors, jumped at every shadow, changed my number, blocked her everywhere. Later, a mutual friend told me the worst part. The ring she'd brandished like proof of destiny? Fake. A cheap online copy. It was never about the ring. It was about control, and just how far she was willing to go to rewrite our story into something I never agreed to. Okay, buckle up, because this is the one I still have nightmares about. I met Felicity online. Standard modern love story. Matched on an app, traded a few jokes, moved to long late-night calls. She was smart, sharp, and stupidly gorgeous. We met for drinks, just to see, and it felt like we'd known each other for years. Within a month, we were inseparable. Brunches, movie nights, staying up until 3 a.m. talking about childhood trauma like it was foreplay. I thought I'd hit the jackpot. The first jealousy moments seemed almost cute. She'd text, "Where are you? Who are you with?" and throw a little mock pout when I said I was grabbing a beer with friends. She'd half-jokingly say, "You better not be flirting with any waitresses," and I'd laugh and kiss her forehead, thinking she was just really into me. Then the check-ins became constant. If I didn't reply within a few minutes, my phone would light up with call after call. At first it was "just worried about you." Then it turned into, "Why didn't you pick up? Who are you with? Put them on the phone." If I was polite to a woman in public, a barista, a co-worker, she'd go quiet, her jaw tight, and I knew I'd be interrogated later. I tried to talk to her, told her it was a lot, that I needed space. She'd cry, tell me about her exes who cheated, how terrified she was of being abandoned. I felt cruel even thinking of leaving. So I stayed. I wish I hadn't. The night everything snapped, I woke up to the sound of my own phone buzzing. Felicity was on my side of the bed, scrolling through my messages. The screen glow made her face look hollow. "What are you doing?" I croaked. Her eyes were wild. "Who is Rachel?" Rachel was an old friend. I hadn't texted her in months. The messages weren't even flirty, memes, work gossip, nothing. Felicity didn't care. She screamed, threw my phone across the room, shoved me in the chest so hard I hit the nightstand. When I tried to calm her down, she swung at me, catching my shoulder. That was it for me. The next day, heart pounding, I told her it was over. She sobbed, begged, promised therapy, whatever I wanted. I almost caved. Almost. But I stuck to it. That's when the real horror started. My phone turned into a weapon. Dozens of calls a day. Voicemails flipping from sobbing apologies to snarled threats. "You ruined my life. I can't live without you. If I see you with another girl, I swear to God." I blocked her number. She made new ones. I blocked her on social media. She popped up with fake accounts. Then she started showing up in person, outside my building, across the street from my job, staring. Never coming close enough to be a threat, just close enough that I saw her, that I knew she was there. Then I came home one day, and my front door was slightly open. Inside, my apartment was wrecked. Clothes shredded, drawers overturned, plates smashed. On the floor were printed photos of us, scattered like confetti. In every one, my face was scratched out with something sharp until the paper tore. I knew it was her. I called the police, hands shaking. They took a report, but without cameras or witnesses, there wasn't much they could do. Document everything, they said. If it escalates, call us. I started couch surfing with friends, too scared to sleep alone. I jumped at every sound, every unknown number. The escalation came on a rainy night. I was walking back to my building from a friend's place when I heard footsteps behind me, quickening when I did. I glanced back. Felicity. Her hair was soaked, mascara smeared, eyes burning holes into me. "Go home, Felicity," I said, trying to sound firm and failing. She didn't answer, just sped up. I broke into a run. My keys slipped in my sweaty hand as I reached my building. I fumbled with the lock, got the door halfway open, and she yanked me backward by my jacket. "You don't get to leave me," she shrieked, nails digging into my arm. She clawed, grabbed, tried to drag me away from the entrance. I fought back, pure panic, shoving and twisting until I broke free and slammed the door in her face. She pounded on it, screaming my name, threatening, sobbing. I called the police right there on the floor, back pressed to the wood, listening to her rage bleed into the night. This time, when they came, they caught her. I pressed charges. She was arrested, convicted of stalking and harassment, and ordered into therapy. This is not something I like talking about. Even now, typing it, my chest is tight. But maybe if I lay it out, it will stop replaying in my head so loudly. I was in my second year at uni in Lagos when I met Amamira. First-gen student. First son. My whole extended family used to call and say, "Engineer, we're proud of you, oh," like I'd already graduated. I was the quiet one. Class, hostel, small tutoring job, church back home. That was my entire world. Then she walked into it like she owned the place. We met at a departmental fellowship event. She wasn't even in my course. She came with a friend. Loud laugh, expensive braids, nails that looked like they cost more than my whole outfit. She moved through the room like she'd been given a script and everyone else was improvising. At some point she sat beside me and said, "You're Michael, ABI?" The serious one. I remember blinking. "How do you know my name?" She smiled. I asked. From that day, she was everywhere. Waiting after lectures. Showing up outside my tutorial room with food. Sitting beside me in church. My guys used to tease me. "Guy, you don't blow. See fine babe way day follow you like this." It felt good. I won't lie. She called me my genius, my husband, all those playful names that Nigerians like to throw around too early. She wanted to know everything, my family, my village, my siblings' names, my timetable, my bus route home. I told myself it meant she really cared. The possessiveness started small. If I greeted a female course mate, she'd ask, "Who is that one?" If my phone pinged, she'd say, "Let me see now, why are you hiding it?" and laugh, snatching it from my hand. She'd scroll, frown at any saved female name she didn't recognize. I thought it was jealousy. Jealousy means she loves you, right? One day, I came back from class and found her talking with my parents in the sitting room. I hadn't invited her. Didn't even know she had come to my street. "Mummy called me," she said later, all sweet. "I wanted to know your people better." I should have felt happy. Instead, I felt exposed. Like my worlds had been glued together without my consent. The breaking point came at a birthday party in a hostel common room. Music loud, generator humming outside, people dancing. I was talking to a course mate about an assignment, regular, normal, innocent. I felt a hand clamp on my arm. "What are you doing?" It was her. I laughed, tried to introduce them. She didn't let me finish. She started shouting, accusing, calling me names in front of everybody. "After everything I've done for you, this is how you behave." People were staring. Someone turned down the music. I wanted the ground to open and swallow me. That night, I told her it was over. Over WhatsApp at first, then in person when she refused to accept the text. "We can't continue like this," I said, voice shaking. She cried, then knelt down in the hostel corridor. People saw. I pulled her up, begged her to stand. She refused to accept it. I forced myself to walk away anyway. That's when it really started. Calls. Messages. Long voice notes at 2 a.m. "I can't breathe without you." You're my destiny. If you leave me, you'll see. I muted her. Blocked her. She made new numbers. New accounts. It was like playing whack-a-mole with SIM cards. Then the gifts. Flowers on my doorstep in the hostel. Chocolates left on my reading table in the library with no note. At first, I thought it was sweet and sad. Then one day, I came back from class and found a framed photo on my pillow. It was me, sleeping. The angle was wrong, tilted. Taken from inside my room. I stared at it for a long time, my heart pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. After that came the vandalism. Someone scratched my car, old, shared family car, with a key. Liar carved into the paint. My hostel door had little chalk hearts drawn on it in the morning. My course mates joked, "Ah, lover boy, your fan is serious, oh." I laughed with them, but my stomach was cold. The night I saw the lipstick writing, we had just had a long power cut. NEPA did their usual nonsense. I climbed the stairs with my phone torch. My door looked okay from the outside. Inside, everything was slightly wrong. Drawers open. Clothes on the floor. Nothing missing, but everything touched. On the bedroom wall, in red lipstick, were the words, "If I can't have you, no one can." My hands were shaking so badly I dropped my phone. I slept on a friend's floor that night. The next day, I went to the police. They listened, nodded, took notes. "Do you have any proof she wrote it?" one officer asked. I didn't. It was just obvious. But obvious isn't evidence. They told me to get a restraining order. I did. I served it. She laughed when she got it. "You think paper can stop love?" she said. After that, she got bolder. I'd feel someone staring on the bus and turn, see her at the back, eyes fixed on me. I'd smell her perfume in the stairwell before I saw her chalk hearts on the steps. Sometimes the light would go out with the generator, and for a moment I'd be sure she was right behind me, just out of sight. The night they finally caught her, I wasn't there. I'd been crashing at a friend's place for a few days, too scared to sleep alone. The hostel porter called at 3 a.m. "They found somebody in your room," he said. "In your closet." According to the report, she had broken in again. She'd been sitting in my wardrobe, crouched in the dark, waiting. She had a small bag with her, lipstick, photos of us, a knife. The police took her away. She was charged with stalking, breaking and entering, violating the order. Court was a blur. She stared at me from the dock like I was the one on trial. Eyes full of this twisted kind of love and anger mixed together. She went to prison. I changed hostels, then eventually moved back home and did the rest of my degree from there. New number. New routines. I told my parents it was because of distractions, and technically that wasn't a lie. I used to think the worst thing an ex could do was subtweet you or sleep with your friend. Then I met Nina. Or maybe I should say, then I let Nina turn my entire life into one long, unwanted performance piece. We met in a basement gallery in Nukholm. One of those spaces where the walls are half crumbling, the wine is terrible, and everyone pretends to love the work because they're afraid of being the only one who doesn't get it. I was showing canvases, big, messy oil paintings about migration and homes that don't quite fit. Turkish colors, German lines. Identity 101. She was in the corner, half on the floor, screaming into a microphone while a video of a burning house looped behind her. Performance art. People were nodding very seriously. Afterward, she walked up to me, cheeks flushed, eyeliner smudged, and said in German, "Den Bilder sind zu ehrlich. Das macht die Leute nervös. Your paintings are too honest. That makes people nervous." Then she switched to English. I like it. She was intense like that. Always too much, in every direction. We started talking, and didn't really stop for 2 years. At first, it was very cliché art school love. Late nights in my studio, paint on our hands, music too loud, sharing cheap cigarettes on the fire escape. She said things like, "You're the only one who sees me," and I believed her, mostly because I wanted someone to say that to me. She was a performance artist through and through. Everything was material. Every fight, every kiss, every insecurity. She'd stare at me and say, "You know this will end badly, right? Tragedy is more interesting." That should have been my cue to run. The jealousy was there from almost day one. My best friend, Ayla, has been in my life since we were kids. We're both Turkish-German, both navigating the same two worlds. To me, she's like a sister. To Nina, she was a threat. "Why are you always with her? Warum lachst du so mit? Why do you laugh with her like that? Be honest, hast du jemals an SIE gedacht so?" I kept saying no. Because it was no. But no was never enough. She checked my phone constantly, scrolling through WhatsApp, Instagram. She'd hold up her screen and say, "WRS das? Who's this?" Every time a woman liked my work, it was an interrogation. The fight that ended it started, like so many things in Berlin, at a party in a Kreuzberg loft. Too many people, bad DJ, free beer. I was talking to Isla about a grant application and felt a hand slam into my chest. "Nina." In front of everyone, she started screaming, accusing us. Luke, Michigan, and you both lied to me." She called me a coward, called Isla names I won't repeat. People stared. Someone filmed, I think. It was ugly in that very public, very performative way she loved. The next day, I told her it was over. "No more," I said. "Kein Drama mehr. It's done." She laughed, then cried, then laughed again. "You can't just cut me out like a bad line in your sketchbook," she said. "We are the work." I blocked her after the fourth 3 a.m. call. For a while, it was just angry texts, long emails about how I'd ruined her life. Then I started noticing small things. Exhibit A following. Piece 1. I leave my studio in Wedding at 11 p.m. A car I don't recognize pulls out behind me. Same car at 3 different traffic lights. When I turn left instead of right at the last minute, it turns 2. Piece 2. I get off at Hermannplatz, see a figure in a red coat on the opposite platform. When the train passes, she's gone, but the feeling stays. Friends started saying, "Hey, I think I saw Nina outside your building." Always I think. Never, I'm sure. I wanted to believe they were wrong. Exhibit B, vandalism. One morning, I found my car sprayed in white paint. Across the hood, in big block letters, one word. Isla. Medium, spray paint, fear. Later, at a group show opening, I went to the bathroom and saw a familiar name scratched into the metal of the stall door. Same letters. Same pressure. Her handwriting. Except now it was framed by a crude heart. I went to the police. They listened, nodded, took notes. "You should apply for a restraining order," they said. "If she escalates, we can act faster." I did. It felt like putting up a "do not touch" sign in a gallery she already lived in. Exhibit C, the installations. After the order, the harassment just changed medium. Fake Instagram accounts with my paintings as the profile picture, posting captions like, "He lies in color." Anonymous emails from addresses like "You can't escape at," with photos of my street attached. Phone calls where no one spoke, just breathing and the faint sound of U-Bahn announcements in the background. One night, I came home and there was a projection on the building opposite mine. My bedroom window, filmed from the outside. A loop of me walking around my flat, making coffee, stretching, unaware. At the bottom of the projection, typed in minimalist white font, "Study of a man who thinks he is alone." The neighbors complained. The projector was gone before the police arrived. After she sent letters to my parents, handwritten, describing in detail what our flat looked like, the route my mother takes to the market, things changed. My father, who never scares easily, looked at me and said, "Das reicht." That's enough. The police took it seriously after that. Harassing my family crossed some invisible line. Exhibit D, court. They built a case. Collected screenshots, CCTV stills, phone records. My friends testified. Isla testified. I sat in a courtroom in Mobit and watched Nina walk in wearing black like she was attending a funeral for someone else. She looked at me the whole time. Not with anger. With this strange tenderness, like all of this was a misunderstanding. When the judge read the word stalking, she tilted her head, almost curious. When I testified, my voice shook. I talked about the car, the projection, the letters. I did not talk about the part where some tiny piece of me missed the version of her from that basement gallery, laughing at my bad German. She was convicted. Sentenced. The journalists outside called it a case of obsession in the art world. Then they moved on.